Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude at BeyondMystic, and welcome to this deep woo-woo episode entitled Cosmic Agency with GOSIA. Of course, you can find her work at Cosmic Agency here, the English channel on YouTube, and La Agencia Cosmica, the Spanish channel here on YouTube, and finally at swaru.org. GOSIA, welcome back to the show.
Hello. Agency here, the English channel on YouTube. Hi, hello, JC. Hello, thank you very much for inviting me, and hello to everybody there in the chat and who is watching.
Well, GOSIA, it's been a while since you and I spoke. I think I lost one, maybe two channels since you and I spoke the last time. It's pretty crazy out here. So how's it going with you? What's new with your channel? Are you still under some censorship there too? Do you have any active strikes on your channel that you have to be worried about right now? What's going on?
I actually got a strike on my Spanish channel just a few days ago, but I appealed it and I won the appeal. So they removed it. Okay. Some strange things are happening on YouTube. I got a strike actually for the video that was already removed by me 2 days before I received the strike. So I appealed it on the basis that, hey, how can you give a strike for something that's not even there anymore? And they removed it. So yes, we are always under censorship, and we always publish delicate information on Odyssey, and I also have some videos on Brighton, and always transcripts on the website. But yes, we're all under threat all the time.
I know, it's just part of the game here. Well, it's good to see you. You look like you're in good spirits. I've been following you on your Facebook, on all your little adventures as well. So I'm happy you're in good shape. And the audience too, I'm just judging by the chat now. Everybody's excited to see you. They haven't seen you in a while here on the show. So we're going to have a lovely conversation. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here on this live interactive show. We'll try to take some questions here during the show. GOSIA and I are just basically catching up since our last conversations. We have a few topics we want to talk about, but we want to share with you guys as well. So if you have some questions, please put them in high caps. It's a little bit easier for GOSIA and I to bring them on the screen. And of course, comments are welcome as always. Now, folks, if you're watching this on replay, also, all the links to GOSIA's YouTube channels and the Swaru transcripts are also in the description box below. And before this video is over, I will also add her Odyssey, seeing as that is one of her channels also for the more delicate information. Swaru. Why am I calling you Swaru? Oh, she must be channeling somebody screaming in my head here. So GOSIA, what's going on here? What's the latest report? And again, we're going to have to watch our language here on this whole situation around the planet. But I understand that there's been some evaluation of the 3, maybe 4 products that are going around the planet right now. And we have some updates on that. How do you want to share that with the audience here today?
So the most important thing I would like to share with your audience is that recently, Taygetians have realized a very detailed analysis of the 3 different samples of the products you mentioned, which I keep calling papayas, and those words are pretty spread right now.
Okay.
So yeah, so they have analyzed them. They have taken real samples here, and they have analyzed 3 different brands. They had 3 different lots, 50 bottles in each. So and they performed a very in-depth analysis of what's in it and the whole content in it. So it is very medically and technically explained. It's very important because what they have discovered is that the technology that was used to develop those products is above human, is a non-human technology. I mean, I don't know if I can even use those words like nanotechnology, graphene, all that transhumanism.
Oh, yeah, that's a bad word there, that last one.
Sorry. So all that is mentioned in that report. So go to the website. You can read the transcript. It's on Brighton. It's on Odyssey. And I think it's very important to spread this information to the people. And it's not like we are trying to scare people with this information. Okay, again, I don't want, some people always say that we are spreading this negative information. We are just telling people what the Kabbalah is up to and what we are up against. And we are always doing this because we want to have people get up and fight against this, because if we don't know what's in it, if we think it's something that we can cleanse ourselves from, which many people actually claim it's possible, and Targetians are very, very strict about this cannot be really cleansed. So if we think this is something, just something soft, something of non-real danger to the humanity, then we will be docile, and then we will not be rebelling, then we will not be fighting against this. So we need to be angry. We need to. When I was reading this, I was very angry, and I will also tell you at the end of the interview why I was angry. I want to leave the information for the second part of the interview. So I was very angry when I was reading this, and this is how we should feel about this. This is a direct attack on our race. I'm not going to say more. Your channel is under specific scrutiny for some reason, so I have to be
for some reason. I don't know why. I
have to be very careful what I say. I don't want to endanger you, but this is very important information for that reason. So because there's still a chance, okay? They told us very specifically, Yaski especially recently, that it's not like the game is over. What you will see in this report is very drastic, and it's very harsh, and it's very difficult to accept. But it is still possible to fight this. It all depends on us, still, on our level of mass disobedience, on our reaction to all this. Nothing is set in stone. There is no one specific future. So don't ask me, what do you see in the future? How this is going to end? We don't know. This is not how timelines work. This is still very fluid. So
let me ask you, Gosia. Yeah. So let me ask you, Gosia, what do you see in the future? How is this going to end? Just having fun with you.
I can only say what I might see or what I might feel, or the same with them. They might only say what they feel and see based on what's happening at this very moment. But we don't know how the humanity is going to react next month, or what's going to happen. So I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be doing this with so much passion if I didn't believe it was not possible to win this. Right. And also, like we always say, we are doing this because this is how this is who we are, and this is our role in this. So we are doing this because we know this is the right thing to do. We do this for ourselves, for our own sake, because this is the correct thing to do, to defend the humanity. But I do believe we still can win this. Okay.
Oh, well, I think so too. I would describe myself as cautiously optimistic. I don't want to put the blinders on. Oh, we've already won. We're just mopping up. This is just a show and all that. I hear that narrative, but I'm not there. I'm cautiously optimistic that humans still have a resolve. And I think that resolve is being tested. And the more the bad people do bad things, the more humans react and respond to it, and the more collectively we raise our consciousness. And I think that's the big war. Ultimately, it's all about consciousness. But we'll go back to that, because there's 2 episodes you put on your YouTube channel in the last week or 2 that I wanted to share with the audience. But before we get to that, you just said something. I believe you just said the words that the Taigetians don't believe that we can cleanse ourselves from this particular product on our own or through just energetic work. What do you mean by that specifically? And again, watch the words here. We'll try to do our best here to have this conversation with the audience. What did they mean by that?
Explain in detail why it is not possible and what exactly this technology does to the DNA. Because people are asking, what about the MedPod technology? Not med bed. That's different. What they have is MedPod technology. And they said that even that cannot restructure the DNA. That basically what that product does is just transform a human being into the GMO type of a person. You are not a person anymore. I cannot talk about this more because really you will be taken down. Let me just direct people to that transcript. I don't even have to watch the video. Just read it. It's all available in a written form, and you can there you will see in detail what they mean when they say this cannot be cleansed, this cannot be protected. You cannot protect yourself just with a high frequency. It's like with this example of the bus. I always use this example of the bus. If the bus is coming, it's going to hit you and you're going to die. No matter how high frequency you have and how much, you think you are surrounded by the white light and whatever, that bus is going to kill you. and they were very strict about this. And they, it's a bullet in your head. And again, I'm gonna tell more about this toward the end of the video. I have a personal example.
Okay. Now, and thank you for that. I know it's a difficult subject here on YouTube, but I've had guests on my show who are under the impression that there are perhaps some how do I call it, cures out there, that people are working on specific cures to maybe counteract some of these products, and some other people are at the other end of the spectrum where they say, no, actually, it's a death shot. If you took it, you're pretty much a goner, or at least you'll be maimed and severely changed and damaged by it. Now, we have some analysts that are predicting mass die-offs starting here now, November, December, into the spring of next year. And some other people don't see it as bad as that. So I look at all of this, and again, I bring people with different points of view on the show, and that's the whole point. We're just having conversations. Yes. We're trying to figure things out, and we don't want to be in an echo chamber where we're only listening to same guests, because we're going to miss part of the equation here. And it is complex, and we are into this fog of war here, and it is very thick. So having these conversations is important. So when I look at that, maybe this is an area, GOSIA, where we can start talking about soul contracts and soul missions. For those people who decided to take the product, whether they physically decided to take it because they are in connection with their soul and know that it is an exit strategy for them because it is their time to exit, or whether they were fooled into taking this product. A lot of people would fall in that category again, because our mainstream media is lying and all that stuff. But if you were fooled, and there is a saying that in order to be part of a con or to be conned, you need to be willing to be conned. So therefore, you go back to knowing about the exit strategy and taking it. What do you feel about this? And perhaps what do your contacts feel about this soul contract and those who are taking those decisions to exit? Is that what's happening right now on the planet, maybe on a bigger scale than people are really seeing right now at this point in time? What are your thoughts?
Yes, it has been mentioned by Yaskisvaru also, this mass exit concept. It was also explained by Dolores Cannon. And everything that happens in your life is always happening because you are a frequency match to that situation, as they always explain. And because on the soul level, this is what you have created for yourself. So yes, on a deeper, more expanded collective consciousness level, this is some sort of a mass exit for those souls. They have agreed to it, even if on their lower human 3D level, they may feel like they have been conned, but on a deeper level, they probably, I would say yes, not even probably, they knew what they were doing. They know what they are doing. However, and here where the situation gets complicated, because we are multidimensional beings, so we always have to look at everything from various platforms and various levels. So yes, just because from the deeper level, this might have been some sort of an exit contract to that soul, from where we are standing and from the point of observation where we are, that we are looking at, this is not fair, and this is mass. I don't have words. This is the mass removal of the humans against their will, the will that is valid from this platform. So this is a sort of a complicated situation where we have to think, what is more important, our 3D will here, or the deeper multidimensional will of the deeper soul that who knows what has planned for itself in a 3D. I believe that we have to evaluate each situation from the point of view that we are observing. So right now we are observing the situation from the 3D human physical point of observation. So and from this point of observation, what is happening is unfair. It is imposed. It is forced. It is happening against people's will. Well, even though they are taking it willingly. But they are conned. Now, if you read this report, you will see how much evil is actually in this technology. and what's happening. And this actually links to that astral war topic you wanted to talk about. What is happening is a direct reflection of this astral war happening in the invisible planes, and is a reflection of these darker regressive beings, trying to take over the humanity from the physical side. They are basically entering the physical side and want to have a total dominion over it. So that's not fair. And us, from our point of observation, we are standing against that. Even though from the higher perspective, that might be some sort of a soul's exit contract. However, like I'm saying, I do not appreciate that those dark regressive forces are trying to take over the humanity in such an invasive way and deceptive way. And I feel it's the right thing to fight against that. Even though at the same time, we do understand that this might be some sort of a soul contract to exit.
Right. But regardless of those soul contracts, the people who are wishing to stand their ground and to defend the organic humans here, that is also their soul contract to do, right? So
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So we are fulfilling. This is going back to what I said in the beginning. That also we are doing this for ourselves. This is who we are, and we are fulfilling our own, maybe self-imposed duty to be some sort of a liberators or defenders of the human life. This is some sort of self-imposed contract that we have been trying to carrying out. And I have had many conversations with Yaski about this as well. Like, whether what I do to defend the humans, is it something because I really want to, or is it because some sort of a self-imposed idea that I am executing some sort of a contract from beyond with myself? And in that case, am I even free in what I do, or am I doing what I do because I'm following some sort of an inner program to defend the humans? So am I really free in that action? How much are we really free in anything we do?
I love this conversation, Gosia. I can hear people like, oh, my head's going to explode. I know, but at the same time, we're moving into this age of Aquarius, the knowledge bearer. And that means that we have to be responsible and with ourselves, and we have to question everything we think we know to make sure that that is in fact reality. And the more we do that, the more we realize that, oh my God, we were lied to on so many levels all our lives. And we still have, when you say, hey, am I still in control? There's another part in there too, because we have all of these old programs from childhood and perhaps through old karmic loops before that are also in control of this vehicle to some extent here, because we're unconscious of those programs. And doing this work of inner reflection enables us to find these old programs and perhaps delete them. But anyways, that's a whole other show, Gosia.
But I talk about this all the time with Yaski, because I love these metaphysical, deeper subjects, because I'm trying to actually always act out of my own authentic self. But is that authentic self, is it really me, or is it like built upon the pre-programmed ideas from the past lives and past lives and past lives about the idea of what my identity is? Right. But what is that idea of my identity as a liberator, as a helper, as a guide? Where is that coming from? Is that really my authentic self? Or is it also some kind of a pre-programmed idea that I threw upon myself and I'm executing right now?
Right.
So all these topics I always talk about with Yaski, because I love to talk about this so much.
I love it. And this is why I watch a lot of your videos. It makes you think. And to me, any video, I don't have time to watch many videos. I'm, of course, very busy with this channel. But any videos that makes me think and ponder, yours are definitely up my list for sure. So, okay, so there was this one about the Van Allen belts. And in there, you did talk about memories. And you were just touching on here, well, which memories, who's my authentic self? To know yourself, you have to really go further back than we actually think we do. So anyways, we'll come back to that one here. Let's start first with this astral war and this whole idea of us as humans needing to be more responsible with our thoughts, because through our thoughts we create these tulpas. I'm going to ask you to explain how you perceive tulpas, the fact that there are positive ones and negative ones, and that this somehow is playing a role in this astral war, as above so below. We are creating these conflicts in other dimensions as well. So start laying down some great, of course, people can go watch this episode. I'll bring the link down here in the live chat. But let's start there. What's your understanding of the creation of tulpas, negatives and positive? And let's start building the conversation there.
Well, thank you very much. This is a very deep subject, and we have been covering the subject also in many videos. And I can only offer you the understanding that I have about these subjects in a very summarized way. Jaski always explains that tulpa is a sort of a manifested, projected expression of an idea. The thing is, and I'll start with this, that everything is a tulpa. Everything, not just negative entities. You are actually a tulpa of yourself, because as Jaski claims, everything is based on an idea. There's nothing in the universe. There's just mind and idea, and just things manifest. They spawn into existence. So you are a tulpa of yourself. And as she always claims, there is no exterior world. You are your exterior world. It's not even that it's a reflection of you. Everything in your exterior world is you. Other people are you. Everything is you. So that's the base. Everything is a tulpa. Just because, and we talk about negative beings being tulpas, it doesn't mean that it just applies to the negative creations. But now, based on a lot of negative emotions and negative thoughts that we collectively have been creating, this spawns into existence the negative entities and the negative forces and negative astral projections. But she always states the fact that all this is our own creation, that they don't have foundation in themselves. They cannot exist without our creative energy and without our creative force. So everything that is happening in the universe or in our worlds is a reflection of those deeper conflicts that we have. But here, she also states the fact that just because they are projections and just because they are, astral tulpa manifestations, it doesn't mean they are not real or they don't have existence, that they don't have a form.
Or that they don't occupy some organic
physical bodies.
Yes.
Exactly. Because everything is a tulpa. Everything is a manifestation of the mind, but you can still touch it. This sweater still exists and I can put it on. But metaphysically speaking, it's just energy, right? So the same with those beings. Those beings have been created as a result of our unconscious and conscious fears and negative emotions collectively on the planet Earth, but not only, also outside of Earth, but that's another subject. And they have been, they do exist, and they exist in the astral forms, but they also exist occupying physical bodies. They use organic portals, which are basically soulless human shells. They're human people that look like people, but they are not there. There's no one inside, so they are called organic portals, and those beings occupy those bodies. And here we're talking about reptilians, maitres, and other sort of beings. So right now, what Jaski is seeing, Jaski is one of our main contacts, by the way, for those who don't know. So what she is seeing, that right now there is this astral war happening, between, let's call it dark and light, and all that. However, that's also very relative. That's another subject, metaphysically speaking. And that those beings that we have created, but they still exist independently, sort of, they have been trying to enter and dominate this human realm. And that these products, the papayas that we are now witnessing, this is actually an above human creation. This is above human technology. And this is one of their ways to invade us and to gain access to the physical realm even more. Here I'm talking in codes, but you have to read that report because I cannot talk about this in detail.
Right.
So
Deanna's asking, can you put the link to the Tulpa video? Yes, I just put it back into the live chat. But if you guys look just very quickly to GOSIA's Cosmic Agency channel, both in English and French, you'll find the two videos we're talking about here. They're the last two of the week here, or last couple of the weeks. So the Van Allen Belts one here and this Astral War video here is where we're talking about the Tulpas, if you want to follow up. And please do go and subscribe also and support her work here at Cosmic Agency while we're at it.
And I just want to say one more thing. Can I?
Go ahead. Yeah.
But hold your thought. I don't want to interrupt your thought either. Just finishing with that creation of that of the negative tulpas is that they always talk about fear, and I know everybody talks about this, and it's very important. It's not a cliche topic. It is really very important not to fear, and you know, that energy, that lush energy that those energies are leeching on. This is how it feeds them into existence. So the fears and negative emotions on a collective level, our thoughts, they have the creative power to generate those beings. And this is what happened, and they are real, but it's very important for us to rewire our minds and to take control of, like you said in the beginning, of our collective thought process. I know it's not very easy. How do you unite everybody right now on the planet into, you know, some sort of a positive thinking or whatever? It's a very complicated situation. But that's the key. The key to solve all this lies in our collective mind. Yes, he's very clear about this.
In one of my last videos with Dr. Richard Allen Miller, I forget which one it was called, something disclosure. Anyways, it's on my pay-per-view because it was deleted here from YouTube. Some too many bad words in that one too. But he said, Jean-Claude, he says, humans will be free when they recognize that they are responsible for the thoughts they entertain, right?
Exactly.
And so this is where the creation of these tulpas, positive and negative, happen. And also, so that would be the first part, but the resolution to that now of the things that we've already created is to stop feeding them, as you say. So maybe that fear frequency is still what is feeding some of these tulpas, and I agree with that on so many levels. What you just said, that it's not cliche. There's more to that. First of all, the fear frequency is bad for you. It brings your frequency down, which makes you vulnerable to more things. But it's also feeding, which is controlling you. So. Oh man, we could do a whole other show on that one, but there's some language there too that's difficult.
I know.
Okay, fascinating. I love these. Man, I love these conversations. Okay, let's move on, because again, folks, I have a show here at 4 o'clock with Janine. Right after this show here, it's the Teaching Children video with Sherry Divban and Janine. That's at 4 p.m. Eastern. So GOSIA and I are going to end this video at 3:55-ish, just to give me time to switch the slide deck.
How much time do we have still? Like 15 minutes?
We have another 20 minutes from now. Yeah,
right.
We'll push it.
Okay. Oh my God.
So
what can we squeeze into 20 minutes? Is crazy.
What's that?
What can we even squeeze into 20 minutes? All these topics can be like a show in itself.
I know. You just have to come back more often, GOSIA, and we'll do these even smaller bites for everybody, because some of these are very difficult concepts. I understand.
Well, you know what? That's what you should do. Like, if you like a certain video, we can just like make it one specific show on one specific topic, like Van Allen Belt or Astral War, instead of like biting a little bit of all of them, because it's too much.
Well, Siaban says, JC, I love these, so please bring her back. So there you go. The audience has voted. Okay. So let's talk quickly about, so yeah, I brought this video up. It was interesting to me. First of Allen belts. We can come back to the belts here in a second, but let's talk about the Schumann resonance. There's a lot of people in this sphere that talk about the fact that the Schumann resonance is a reflection, perhaps, of human consciousness. I'm trying to find the spot here, for example. And what your contacts are saying, that it's not exactly as it's being pretended. Yes, when we do come together and meditate and create spikes on these instruments that pick up a global consciousness, but that the Schumann resonance itself is not necessarily an indication of where we are going, and where our consciousness is going. And in fact, when they take a pulse right now, we seem to have maybe lost ground over the last year or two. Can you delicately explain that to the audience here?
It's not a black and white statement, actually, that they are a reflection of the human consciousness or not. They may simply not be, like you said, not necessarily, because many people talk about that human Schumann resonance as a clear indication of the growth or spike of the human consciousness. But they told us it's not that fast. It may not necessarily mean that. They also talk about those galactic waves coming from the center of the galaxy, and how when that happens, it does raise the general Earth frequency. But then they also notice, because one of the things they do, they actually study these things. They monitor all these things, and they monitor all kinds of things and events and happenings around Earth. So one of the things they have been monitoring is that relation between the Schumann resonance and galactic waves and whatever. So they notice that, yeah, it raises, but then it goes down again. So it's like up and down all the time. And also when they have noticed that when the people do mass meditations, yes, it may spike it up a little bit, but then they notice that it goes down again, because people like do the meditations and they go back to their routines.
Right.
And they forget about what they, what it was they were meditating on and all that. So it may not have that sort of relevance. They also, she actually, that was Athena's Varu. She mentioned that. She mentioned the time slip between Taygeta and Earth being possibly a better indication of how Earth is doing. Time slip meaning that for one day how is it? For one day in Taygeta?
I think it was 5 in the video.
No, for one day in Taygeta, 4.5 days are passing on Earth.
Right.
And now in 2000, few years ago, that relation was different, and now that relation is becoming larger. So the difference between the time perception, the time slip between Taygeta and between our here existence on Earth is becoming different. So they say that may be a greater indication of how the general collective consciousness is going, because in the last year and a half, the difference between collective time perception in Taygeta and here have increased greatly, which she said that may be because the collective consciousness has not grown on Earth and kind of reversed. And I know when people get angry when maybe we say that, because they see a lot of awakening happening, and it's happening, yes, but at the same time, when you look at the majority of the population, like the majority,
there's a lot of fear. Yeah, there's a
lot of fear, and
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
now, is it possible to, from her point of view, that spread is growing simply because Taygeta might be moving faster towards their highest level than we are, and so it's not necessarily that we've dropped down, but maybe we're not catching up as fast as we used to. So maybe we're slowing down our ascension.
Yeah, that's maybe a good point, because every society, they have their own process and their own change and their own evolution rate. So yeah, I haven't entertained that idea, but it's a very good point, and I would have to ask them about that.
Okay, very good. It's something to contemplate, but at the same time, I want to give, like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic for humans, and so I'm always looking for those little indications that, there's hope. We can do this if we put our minds together. But at the same time, I always get in trouble, Gosia, because I tell people, and sometimes they don't want to hear it. A lot of people still want to hear the hopium all there. And I want to say, well, no, there's still some hard work to be done. And some people don't like that sometimes. But anyways, I have to be true to myself and to the mission that I'm called here on the show as well. And I think you're doing a fabulous job doing the same on your channel. So I really appreciate these conversations. Let's go here quickly to maybe the concept of these Valerian belts. Let me bring that back up here. I always have trouble saying that in English. But let's talk about this frequency fence and how perhaps, even though it's there, it's not really meaningful, because we as humans, the moment we start raising our consciousness, we become basically, I don't want to say transparent, but invisible to that fence, whereas we can punch through it. Can you explain those concepts here a little bit for the audience? Because for a lot of the audience, they think that they're stuck in this jail and they can't get out, when in fact they have the keys to get out themselves. That's what the message is here.
Well, exactly. In the very beginning of our contact, actually, we talked about these Van Allen bands as these suppressors of the frequency, and yes, they do create some sort of a like a mental mud, as they explain it. But when Yaski appeared in 2019, she was actually even kind of angry at Svaru in the beginning. Well, Svaru wasn't here anymore, but she was angry at our first contact that so much attention was placed on the existence of those Van Allen bands, as if this is something that is unconquerable. This is something beyond which we cannot move. And Yaski explained to us that they don't matter, that the power of your consciousness is unlimited, and they are not in some sort of a frequency height what it is unreachable, beyond which you cannot transcend. Like and she gave us an example. It's not like the frequency of the Van Allen band is 500 and we here are at 35 and we have so much to reach to escape that limit. No, for example, they are at 50 and you are at 35. So you have a very, very small distance to reach them, and then you are free. Once you transcend, once you expand and liberate yourself, then you are free. They are not there to limit you permanently against your will if you do the right amount of work on yourself and spiritual growth and expansion. So they do not matter. They are not there to stop your spiritual progress if that's what you're meant to do, if that's what you really want for yourself. So they are mostly for the 3D, let's call them, people, to keep them more in that state. But once you are awakened, there's nothing that will stop you, and they cannot stop you.
Well, that's positive. There you go. Okay. And I love that too, because it's kind of like, I've said this on my show, we're graduating into becoming young adults, right? And so it's the same thing. If you're a parent, you kind of hide the matches from your kids, in case they don't burn down the house, where the Van Allen belts could be acting in such a way too. And when you get to a certain point, you don't care about the matches. You understand what they are. They don't need to be hidden from you anymore. Or anyways, I think you guys understand what I'm saying. Wow, that's interesting too. Okay. GOSIA, let me see here. I had a few more notes, but we're just almost running out of time here. Let's go back to memories. One of the things here that's coming out, and I was putting out earlier the work from Dr. Paul Laviolette. You just mentioned these galactic super waves. Now, yes, some people are opining that these waves that are coming through either a galactic central sun, through the networks of sun, and including here our sun with these solar flares and X flares, is it possible, and what are your contacts telling us about how maybe those waves are re-energizing or reactivating some of our dormant DNA, and also some of those dormant memories that we are holding in that DNA? Let's talk about that memory concept here a little bit.
I actually am not sure I know anything about that specific topic, if those specific waves are activating our memories. I wish I had someone online with me. I actually asked Aneka if she could be around, but she was busy.
Okay.
She couldn't. So maybe next time. Okay. But I think whether it is galactic waves that are awakening you, or whether this is you yourself that is awakening due to thanks to whatever process you are going through, your memories are probably going to reawaken in yourself. So I don't know if this is thanks to the waves, or thanks to what, or thanks to your own liberating process within yourself, but definitely that's what's going to happen once you start to grow. However, this is not guaranteed. The memories are not guaranteed, and they are not indication of your spiritual frequency level either, because I don't remember anything, and I'm sorry, but I do not consider myself as such a low frequency person. So I know this is due to other reasons, to soul contracts, to your immersion pod settings, even like it's in my case, and many other factors. So don't think just because you don't remember your frequency is low or you're not growing spiritually.
Well, there's another thing to that too. If you watch the movie Tenet, I forget what it is. It's a time war movie, and at the end we kind of understand that the protagonist, one of the main characters in the movie, he has to go through this temporal mission completely blind to who he is, without the memories, because if he had his memories, he would most likely fuck it up or mess it up, right? And so it's very possible that we here are reliving that same kind of concept as in that movie, that some of us absolutely have to do our mission without the memories, whereas from other people and their soul contract and soul mission point of view, they must have at least a portion of their memories in order to do the work that they're supposed to do. So again, like you say, it's not a clear indication of how you're woken up or not woken up, or how high your consciousness is. That's a very good point. You mentioned something at the beginning of the show about you being the rebel. Am I really being the rebel, or am I running somebody else's program? You and I had both interviewed Carrie Cassidy, and I interviewed her specifically on her book, The Rebel Gene. And as you were saying that, it reminded me again here too, that this war that we're facing now, to some extent, is trying to stamp out this rebel gene, right? It's trying to make us docile, compliant, so that we can be taken over. And again, people can go read that report here that we put on the show at the beginning of the show. But going back to these solar flares or proton waves or whatever it is coming from space, is it possible, or have you heard? Oh yeah, this is the question I want to ask you. I believe you've mentioned this before, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that perhaps some of these waves coming in were being attenuated by some of the, just call them the bad guys for now without giving any label on them, so that our rebel gene wouldn't be activated, or that it would continuously be suppressed. Do you remember that? Can you talk to that a little bit? Does that make sense?
I totally believe that that's what's happening, and that's what's been happening across the millennia with all sort of control tricks that they have been doing. I don't believe it's happening just now. It's been happening since the beginning of times, and especially it's speeding up right now with the products program. That is like their ultimate trick and ultimate weapon to remove that rebel gene from our planet and to take over. And who knows what else? I mean, we are still, even Tagetans, we are still trying to figure out exactly what the agenda is, like exactly, because it could be viewed from different perspectives. But yes, I don't know much more about that.
Well, that's awesome, because just knowing that somebody is trying to suppress something in you sparks that conversation of saying, well, if they want that, why do they want that? Do I want that? So it brings you in a position of power. And this is why we're having this conversation again, not to bring the fear frequency in, but to bring you into that empowerment and the thinking to get you closer, maybe in alignment with what your soul mission is. And in order to do that, you have to be in control of your vehicle, not these programs or not these ideas or, how do you say that, mechanisms of suppression that we are all under control from at every level. I mean, this is so pervasive.
And all the time. This is not something new. Like you said, those mechanisms of control have been happening since the beginning of times here. It's not anything new. It's just now accentuated right now with this product, Aunt Maxine, how you call them, program. This is like the ultimate. I
think that's a bad word now. I was using that a while ago, and I got in trouble for that one too. It's just, they're getting crazy. They know what we're talking about, right?
Don't you have some kind of an uncensored platform?
Yeah, somebody was saying we should do a pay-per-view. I do. I bought a private server where we can record videos and say what we want. It's usually successful because, of course, people want the truth, and here they get frustrated that we can't say stuff, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, GC, you're being too careful." I mean, what do you mean? I've lost my channel 3 times. I know what I'm talking about.
It was a good website. I mean, Robert uses Twitch for lives.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah,
he does lives there. The only problem is that they don't last very long there. They only stay there for a few months and then they get deleted. But maybe you can consider that.
Yeah, that's an idea too. Yeah, but no, I'd love to do one of those uncensored with you, and it doesn't have to be pay-per-view. Once in a while, we do accept, and we do charge for our episodes because we have to pay for the private server to make that happen. It's not free like here on YouTube. But at any rate, we could always do something interesting there. We did a few, I think with Carrie Cassidy also, that we put for free there, just because we thought the information had to go out. At any rate, it's something we can talk about in the future. We have a few minutes left. GOSIA, talking about, you just mentioned at the beginning of the show, you had a personal experience here of how this thing is all rolling out. We talked about these mass deaths. Do you want to share that? Do you feel, first of all, don't feel obligated to talk about it. So you asked me to ask you at the end of the show if you felt okay talking about it.
I do, because it fits with the narrative of what I'm doing, you know, and it's actually like a personal example. So I know, you know, that I have been working on this lab report from the Taigetans, and we have just released it in Spanish and in English. And it was funny because, well, funny, it was kind of a morbid situation, because in that very moment when I was working on that report, I was finding out about my dad being very sick. And he had cancer like 15 years ago, whatever, many diseases, but he beat it and he was okay. And then in July, 2 months ago, he took two products, and they have been calling him for the third one. And suddenly his cancer got reactivated, and within weeks he went down and he just died this morning. So it's okay. I know I didn't want to say that in the beginning because I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm sorry, and people saying I'm sorry. I'm okay because we have been preparing for this with my mom, you know, for a few weeks, because I actually knew that this was going to happen as soon as I knew that he took it. And he took it to avoid lines in the hospital, because he was 73 years old and he had to go for some tests in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And if he didn't have those, if he took the product, then they would just let him through faster. So he wanted to avoid lines at the hospital. So I told them, my mom and him, I said, if you want to avoid the lines, do it. But I'm telling you, it's basically a choice: lines in the hospital or death. You're going to die. And he died, and it was so fast. And suddenly his cancer got reactivated. This is exactly what this product does. It destroys the immunity system. It destroys the organisms, and it reactivates all these different conditions that you had before and creates new ones. Mm-hmm. And this was pissing me off so much, because as I was doing this report of what's in that product, on the technology contained in them, I knew that my dad was going through that at that very moment. So I'm not angry at him. Well, some people understood I'm angry at him that he didn't follow my advice. No, he's older, whatever. I am angry at this technology and what these, negative beings are trying to do, and how invasive they are, and how evil this technology is. Mm-hmm. So this is just giving me more passion to fight against this. So
I feel for you. Thank you for sharing that, GOSIA, and the audience too is with you, because I had learned just a couple of months too that very close members of my family took some products, and I thought at that point, when I first heard that news, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a failure. Like I'm out here on YouTube trying to explain to everybody, and I can't even protect my family, right? I know, and then I had to step back and again, the whole soul contract thing, the mission stuff. But it's difficult when it's so close to you, and I feel for you. But that's the thing. We're hearing this now. We had last year, they were all conspiracy theorists, right? And now what you described, we're seeing that more and more and more on the news here in North America. Too. More and more people in hospital, and has nothing to do with the C thing. It's all about problems with their blood, problems with inflammation of the heart, problems that are all ostensibly connected to this product here. And people are starting to put two and two together, but fast enough? I don't know yet. Try as we may, we have to inform people here. But again, this is a much more complicated battle than it seems here on the 3D surface of things. So, man, GOSIA, we're already at the end of the show. That went by too quick.
Fast. This is nothing. Okay. I feel like I said nothing.
Yeah, I know. You said a lot. I'm sure the 2-3 topics we already talked about, people are going to digest that for another week. So that was good. So I'll send you an email after the show here. We'll try to book another date and find some other specific topics. There's a lot of things on your last videos in the last couple of months too that struck me like, oh, I want to have a conversation about that one. And I love the way you produce your videos. They're absolutely amazing. They're beautiful also. All the visual stuff you put in the back, you put a lot of work into this. So folks, please do go and subscribe here at Cosmic Agency, the English channel. If you speak French, you can also check out La Agencia Cósmica. I always trouble spelling the H in Spanish. La Agencia Cósmica. If you're here for the Spanish trouble, and also if you're looking for those transcripts of these videos, this is perhaps where you want to download these PDFs to your phone, because again, with censorship, who knows what disappears here. This is the world that we live in. So having a collective collective copy of some of these, your most favorite episodes, is probably a good thing. So that's swaru.org, and all of these links are in the description box below. Merci beaucoup, Gosia.
Merci beaucoup. And I just want to say to everybody, because some people we didn't know that I was on the show before with you, and they were saying, oh, I hope that JC treats you well and everything goes well. I just want to say that I like very much to be on your show. JC is always a great host, very welcoming and very open-minded and very metaphysical. And I'm always happy to be here. So thank you very much for invitation.
I appreciate that. And a few people tell me too, like, oh, finally you have her on. I was like, oh, you must be new to my channel. I've had go many times before. I just keep losing my channel here. So, I'm always rebuilding the community, as they say.
And again, if you want to just talk about specific subject, if you like a certain video and you want to just talk about that in depth, then we can do that as well.
Absolutely. All right. Partie reprise in French until we meet again. Hasta luego. Merci beaucoup encore, Gosia, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And join us in about 3 minutes from now for the Sherry Div Band and Janine show on teaching our amazing children. Have a great day, everyone. Au revoir.